All right, welcome back to another episode of Tevora Talks. I am your host, Cash, joined as always by my co-host and partner in cybercrime, Matt Mosley. How are you, sir? Happy post 4th of July weekend. How's your day
Yes,
going?
sir. I am recovering from a hangover. No, I'm not. I'm just kidding.
A firework hangover.
I wish I was recovering from a hangover. No, everything's good. Had a great weekend. Not so great for our friends in cybersecurity. And luckily, we have a team that we can rely on, and we got to do vacation while everyone else dealt with Kaseya.
Yeah, that was, we almost had a little bit of a scare right before the weekend as we were all saying, hey, goodbye, have a nice weekend. We're signing off. Boom, the hotline rang. I know when the hotline rang, right?
Yeah, we had a few calls. Yeah.
So, but it seems like crisis kind of averted on
At
the
least
people
for our
that called
clients. Yeah.
us. Yeah, ones that called us at least. But I'll let you set it up. What happened? It's a pretty new. It's nothing new. It's a new twist on.
Yeah, like a new attack vector, I guess.
This year. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I was, having this discussion with some friends, and ransomware is just, what do you do, right? Like, which we're putting together strategies for people and stuff. There are things you can do, but it's just going to keep growing. And so, Friday, I think about 2 p.m. Pacific, the news broke that Kaseya, which is a software company that makes a bunch of different products, but one of their products is managed service providers use to manage endpoints, right? They do patch management, health checks on those endpoints and everything. It was so these agents are across, thousands of machines, if not millions of machines.
Yeah, what is it? The VSA product.
Yep, correct. And so the MSP have this tool that they use, and then they have their clients underneath them that use it, right? And so about 2 p.m., like I said, on Pacific time Friday, it got word that Kaseya was involved in a ransomware attack, and looks like it's a supply chain attack that started at the main Kaseya level and then filtered down into the MSP clients, and then from there filtered down into their clients. And so, reports are still coming in. Things are kind of still scattered around. We did have the weekend to go through it, but again, holiday weekend here in America. So I think people are still trying to deal with it, trying to figure out what happened. But according to mixed reports, about 1,500 companies, organizations have been affected by this. Thousands of devices have been affected. And yeah, it's not looking too great. So
yeah, it's crazy. It's kind of like the SolarWinds situation, where the big guy gets hit and then everybody under him gets hit because everybody uses that software, right? It has like some kind of agent that goes on everybody's device in your entire network. And in this case, it was like a patch management software, right? So
yeah, it's exactly like the SolarWinds, situation where you have this company that supplies software to all these other companies. They get hit, and then it affects everybody that uses that product, right? Thankfully, though, Kaseya jumped in, or Kaseya, I don't know how you say it. I think Kaseya is how I'm going to say it.
Yeah, I like it.
They jumped in real quick. They shut down their servers as soon as they noticed it. Looks like that helped kind of stop the attack, at least while they were trying to figure out what happened and get back up to back into production. But they've had some issues getting back up and running. I guess they've kind of stalled a couple times getting it back on, and then they noticed some activity and then brought it back down again. But yeah, so the attackers, more information's coming out about them, right? So who is it this time?
REvil.
Yep, REvil. So we've heard about them in the past, right? They're supposedly, our partners at Flashpoint have moderately linked them to DarkSide. And DarkSide, you guys will probably remember from the Colonial Pipeline attack. And so, yeah, these guys,
they're on a roll this year, huh? They're really
just like relentless.
I think they have like a quota or something. What was it on their page that said our goal is to hit this much money? Because they asked for a lot of money this time around.
Yeah. I mean, well, I'm sure they're probably working for the Russian government, right? So if they don't get their job done, they're going to go in the gulag. I don't
For sure.
know.
I hate the
They're definitely
gulag.
based in Russia, though, right? Like all these groups, for the most part, are based in Russia or Eastern Europe, and so makes you wonder. But we don't really have a great relationship as far as America goes with Russia, so.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be
But
surprised. And I think the timing's a little curious, right? So some people have talked about that as well. Timing was pretty spot on with the 4th of July weekend upon us. So I think that was planned. I think that was orchestrated.
I
What do you
mean,
think?
it's always around the major holiday. Christmas every year we get popped, or somebody does, and then they call
Yeah, we
us.
don't get popped, but
Yeah, we
still.
don't get popped. Someone else gets popped, and then they call us. But nonetheless, it's always on holidays. I remember every time that you get ready to go on a vacation, guaranteed. And it became a thing where it's like, just please don't take any
Yeah.
vacation. As long as you're here, we're good.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely become the kind of inside joke here, is that every time I go on vacation, something happens. And sure enough, I was going camping.
Yeah.
But you
And
guys
this
had
time
us, you
again,
guys
this
adored
time, it's like,
but yeah, it's crazy. And the REvil group, I mean, they've been in the news for a couple years now, right? So I think they started last year. You remember the first time they hit?
no, not off the top of my head.
I think it was like in like sometime like around when COVID first started. And I think this was the group that was behind supposedly like trying to extort Donald Trump, the president at the time.
Yeah, I remember something about Donald Trump, and they were just trying to hold his data held for ransom too.
Yeah. But that came about with nothing. So maybe they didn't have enough good information or something. Or maybe they got paid off and we just
Or
don't
yeah,
know.
they got paid off
Yeah.
for sure. They got paid
Yeah.
off.
Then they went after Lady Gaga and then Madonna and I don't know, just all kinds of stuff. So in March of this year, I think they were going after like all the Microsoft Exchange Hafnium stuff. They were trying to get ransomware on that stuff, and Acer, they hit Acer with their ransomware. So yeah, dude, these guys are nasty.
They definitely stepped their game up. They went from Madonna, then to Lady Gaga, then Trump. Right? They're kind of going bigger every time.
Yeah.
So
Yep. And this time around, they're asking how much?
$70 million. 70.
Yeah.
That's right.
So that's like 4 Bitcoin. No, I'm just kidding.
No.
It's actually like 2,000 Bitcoin. That's crazy.
That's still a lot. That's a lot of Bitcoin. I mean,
For sure. Yeah.
and I
wouldn't
happen
mind having
to,
it.
so they have a blog. They have a blog. I went to it.
Yep.
I showed it to you.
Yeah, it is on the Tor network if anybody wants to find it.
Yeah.
We're not going to give you the link, but you can find it.
And here I'll read their very most recent blog post. It says, on Friday, we launched an attack on MSP providers. More than 1 million systems were infected. If anybody wants to negotiate about Universal Decryptor, our price is $70 million in BTC.
Crazy, dude.
And
so 1 million devices, right? And so that just goes to show you how bad a supply chain attack like this can be. So Kaseya is saying that 60 customers were affected, right? And then that downstream affected 1,500 businesses or organizations. And then down that, 1 million devices, endpoints.
Yeah, I mean, it's doable because 1,500, and then imagine every client has 1,000 endpoints or whatever, right?
Right.
You can easily hit the 1.5 million real quick. So that's crazy. I mean, look here. I'm just gonna read this part because this part makes it real, right? This is the last sentence of their blog. It says, "If you are interested in such a deal, contact us using victims' README file instructions." Right? It's like,
Yep.
if you have that README file, it's real. Think about it or call us, but definitely not on the vacation day. Just call us on Monday. Mondays are cool.
Yep. So let's talk about a little bit on how they got in, right? We still don't officially know, right? We're still waiting for those details, but there has been some information that's been leaked about it, and appears that uh, the attackers found a vulnerability in the update software, right? The
Of
update
course.
agent, and they're thinking that that was probably used to get up into the Kaseya infrastructure and then from there go down, right? But there's been no proof, and so they're still trying to search for, what was the point of entry, or at least what we know publicly right now.
Yeah.
That's kind of where we're at. There are tools out there, or a tool at least, that Kaseya has released, that you can go get. So if and we'll provide that link, but there's a whole blog that's tracking kind of where we are. What the updates are. You can see them. It's basically a couple hours. Every couple hours, there's a new update. But on that blog is a tool that you can download just to see if you've been affected. Some things to look for if you're a threat hunter like us out there, is the K working directory in the root C drive. So this is on Windows systems.
Mhm.
Look for any files really in there, executables. I think the one we were looking for was agent.exe. And then there's some IOCs that are available, and we'll link to those as well. But the thing that threat hunters should be looking for, or and this should be anytime you should be looking for this stuff, is PowerShell scripts that are disabling security tools. So one of the things on this piece of ransomware is that it actually was doing PowerShell scripts to disable Windows Defender, the anti-malware engine, and a few other things. So if you see anything in the PowerShell history and your logs that disable anything, I would start investigating and just look to see what's going on. And if you haven't already, put in some flags, some alerts in your SIM that's going to spot that type of behavior, if you are capturing those PowerShell logs. So
And I did read to their kind of defense. They were aware of it. The research group did bring it to their attention, and they were in the works of fixing this patch and this issue. But the attackers beat them to the punch. Can you believe that?
yeah, I do believe that.
I mean, it's like,
What prompted them? So my question is what prompted them to identify that and then start working on a patch, right? Did
yeah,
they
exactly.
catch
Maybe
on
they
to something early, or?
possibly, or maybe they were really lurking in their systems, or they had some kind of, I don't know, spyware or something also somewhere.
Could have been, yeah.
I don't know. That's pretty
Yeah, we'll
crazy.
find out. I mean, they've got, I think, Sophos and FireEye/Mandiant working on it.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
we'll get some answers here soon, I'm sure. But another good place for keeping tabs on this is the MSP subreddit over on Reddit. Has really good thread going on right there for the updates and things to look for and tools you can use and all that good stuff. So we've been kind of keeping tabs on that here at Tevora while we work through our different clients. And yeah, so luckily we're good so far with our clients. We haven't
So
seen
far, so
anything.
good.
Keeping an eye out and monitoring everything. And yeah, ransomware, man. So I was having this discussion with a friend of mine, and he was like, what do we do? And he doesn't work in information security.
Mhm.
And I said, the problem is that there's tons of guidelines out there, right? Like NIST has guidelines, and what's the infrastructure? CISA, isn't that the one?
You say yeah.
Not CISA. Yeah, Cyber and
Yeah,
Infrastructure
that's it.
Security
Yeah.
Agency. They release all these warnings and guides and everything for how to secure systems, but nobody follows them, right? Unless they have to. There's no enforcement. It's like PCI. PCI, you get fined if a credit card number gets, stolen or whatever, right? And so people comply with PCI requirements, and they have to meet compliance every year, right? You get audited, and you have to do you have to go through and do the PCI audit and everything. But there's nothing around anyone else, right? Unless you have like some sort of framework or compliance that you have to meet. Nobody cares, and nobody's investing money in security, right? That's the other bad part. And so it's really hard to convince people, like, hey, you need to do backups on a regular basis. You need to protect those backups, to make sure that they don't get hit by ransomware. You need to just do the basics of firewall configuration, right? Stop exposing remote desktop connections. Stop exposing SSH if it doesn't need to be out there. Secure shell. Don't use weak passwords. I mean, there's a number of ways people can get in, but the thing about it too is, and I've talked about this before. What's the weakest link in security?
People.
People. Like
Straight
you and
up.
I can make the most secure system in the world.
Yeah, all
And
it
if it's
takes.
connected to the internet and has email, someone's going to click a link and all of our hard work is out the window.
I mean, to I like to always play devil's advocate to defend, I guess, the other side, because these guys, they are definitely getting really crafty to the point of, the new emails, the banner of, if this looks risky, report it to your IR or tech department or whatever it is, right? They're replicating even that. So,
Yep.
I mean, it's getting really tricky. So,
Yeah. And disabling that too,
yeah, and
right? Going
disabling
in and
that,
disabling with the HTML
they're getting real crafty,
all the time, always
all
adjusting
the
their
time,
attack. It's the
always
same
stuff.
attacks. They're just new vectors, right? Like this is ransomware, right? But it's a new vector. It's a new delivery mechanism. Before they would get in and they would maybe get on the domain controller and push it out through a group policy update or something. Well, now you don't need to do that because you got this cool software that Kaseya makes that will push out software for you,
Yep.
or already has the software on there. Now we just need to inject our own, malicious code into it, and we're good to go. Same thing with SolarWinds, right? They got in, edited the source code, and then they were golden, right? They hit it right there in plain sight, and
That's it.
yep.
You're
So
using your weapons against us. I mean,
right,
it's
and
like
and
that.
Tevora's talked about that before too. What were you gonna say? I'm sorry.
No, yeah, I was just gonna say it's like those stories. You hear like the lady was like sleeping with the knife under her pillow, and then the guy came in and used the knife on her or something like that.
Oh, right.
I don't know.
You've got these
My
tools to
mom
protect
always.
you, but
That's my
they get
mom.
used against you.
That's my
Well, your
mom.
mom's right. So you should listen to your mother. But yeah, no, Tevora did a talk about this a couple years ago at B-Sides in Vegas. Kevin Dick, who was just recently on, and Stephen Flores. They did a talk on using security tools against the infrastructure and against the enterprise. And they showed how you could leverage Splunk and you could leverage, I don't even know what the other ones were, maybe Puppet and Chef and stuff like that. And, these tools, which aren't security tools, but management tools, usually work at like a high level of access, right? They usually have system admin level access, which can get you in places you shouldn't be getting into. And now that you can piggyback on those connections, then you've got free reign on the network.
Totally.
And so that was,
Open season. Do
yeah.
whatever you
So
want.
Tevora covered that a couple years ago. I'm sure the attackers were already doing that, before we covered it. But now there's definitely evidence of it, right? We've seen SolarWinds, we've seen Kaseya, we've seen Microsoft being used, right? The exchange, Hafnium attacks and stuff like that. And so it's always gonna be there, and everyone needs to shift their thought process, which I think people have been doing for the last couple of years. Is it's not a matter of if we get compromised, it's
But
when we
when?
get compromised and how do we deal with that, right? And it's like I'll try to give this analogy. Hopefully it does me justice. But
Let's
it's
hear
like
it.
a ship, right? You've got multiple holes within the ship. Holes, HUL, L,
Oh,
not
whole.
not
Okay.
holes like HOLES. Um, and so if you get breached in one of those holes, the ship is taking on water, you can close the doors and prevent the rest of the ship from sinking, right? You can
Mhm.
prevent the rest of the ship from getting holes. And that's where network segmentation comes in. And that's where all these other security uh, strategies and products and everything come into place, right? So that when your accountant opens up that cool e-card from her boyfriend
Mhm.
or whatever, right? The accounting system or her system gets compromised, but not the entire company, right? That's um, we just need to start thinking about how the overall picture and how we can prevent it when it happens. Like the zero trust model, I think is great, right? If when implemented correctly, I think does wonders. for environments, and that's what we run at Tevora, right? Like when you and I try to share files with each other, we can't do that.
Yeah.
We have to go through all these hoops that we have to jump through to get a file over to you, or I have to do certain things so that I can get my computer to talk to your computer. It's just and even then it doesn't work
It works
because
sometimes.
we
But
have so much security.
we're definitely getting really crafty though. I'll tell you that much.
But yeah, I mean, and so that's the thing that companies need to start doing. And unfortunately, until someone starts enforcing it, like I hate to say this, but until the federal government or some sort of authoritative body starts enforcing this on companies, they're not going to do it. Nobody cares enough to go out there and fix the situation before it happens. They always wait until after they've been popped. So
See, there's a couple issues because if you enforce something, then they're always going to do the bare minimum, which is
exactly,
useless anyway,
yeah,
right? And then it's until it's like not broken, why fix it is the typical, thought process. And that's its own issue because even if you convince like, your board or whatever to say, hey, we need some money, they'll finally give you some money. But again, it's not enough. It's not enough to do the full job because like you said, you need a little bit of everything. You can't just have holes, right? Because you saw what Titanic, that ship went down. And like one of our recent situations we were in, the client was saying, yeah, well, we have a lot of network segmentation. And we said, well, it definitely didn't work completely because you have ransomware everywhere still. So
right.
you really need all the tools.
So
Uh,
I think there's a disconnect too. Also, when we're talking about network segmentation, we mean like segmented uh, firewall rules preventing different business units from talking to different business units.
yeah, like
And I
fully.
think other people think we're talking about like, oh yeah, we have the accounting VLAN and we have the printer VLAN. So they're segmented, right? They're in different segments, but they're not separated via the network
Right.
protocols and firewall rules and stuff like that. Because I can tell you right now, when I did pen testing for years, people were like, "Oh yeah, we're segmented." Like every store, like especially when I did like retail pen testing, like internal pen testing.
Mm.
Oh yeah, this store can't talk to this store. They're segmented. Not once, and I am not even exaggerating. Not once was that true. Never ever in my pen testing career was I not able to go from one store to the other store or one restaurant to the
Real
other.
quick, huh? It probably wasn't even any
Ridiculous.
effort required either. Fully open.
No, no.
Yeah.
And I worked for a pretty I'll just say I did work for this one company. Who's a global entity and they are PCI compliant. And I went from their store back to my internal server in the office and accessed my Metasploit server. Because I used Metasploit at the time. That's how old this was.
Oh my God. Okay.
from the cash register. So you can't tell me that there's
From the cash
segmentation if
register?
I'm accessing it from the cash register
Oh
of my
my.
internal network, right? Yeah. So hopefully that's fixed now. I mean, it's been almost a decade, so I hope that they fix their stuff. So, but yeah, I
Well,
mean, it's just never once did I see where a restaurant couldn't talk to a restaurant or a retail store couldn't talk to another retail store, or even worse, the corporate, right? Like corporate has the ability to go one way, but the stores can't talk to corporate. Like, no, not true. I never saw it properly implemented. So I think there's definitely a disconnect there. So
so I mean, like,
that's my
moral of the
experience from
story.
Pennsylvania.
What's the moral of the story? I guess. What's the big takeaway
You're
again?
effed. No,
Yeah.
just kidding.
Hide well.
I think the
Um,
moral of the story,
do your
the
best to
overall
protect
moral of the
yourself
story is it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when.
when.
And do you have the tools and do you have the staff needed to identify it early so that you can cut it off as soon as possible and efficiently contain the incident when it does occur.
Yeah, staff,
And
tools,
when
tools.
the attack occurs, when ransomware happens, are you able to recover from that? Right? Are you doing proper backups? Are those backups
Being checked.
protected? And do they work? Like that's
Yeah,
the
do
other
they
thing.
work? Are you
Test your
testing them?
backups.
Like a hot site, do whatever you can. I mean,
Right.
list is endless. Then that's why it's like if you got to do it, you got to go. What is it? You got to go big or go home kind of deal.
Mhm.
I think.
Yeah. And all these companies are like, well, I got to get cyber insurance. Like, you know, yes, you do need cyber insurance, but honestly, maybe invest 1% of your annual revenue to cybersecurity, or 10% of your annual revenue. Like, bump it up a little bit, because in the same conversation I was having earlier today, I think in the future, like, we're an incident response team for Tevora, right? And for different clients. I honestly believe that we're moving towards a future where cities or states or even countries, well, countries already have incident response teams, but I think cities are going to have instant response teams like fire departments, right? And I think that those guys are going to, or those people are going to be the ones handling like individual ransomware cases within those cities, or even just for the municipalities, right?
Yeah.
Because I know that there's IR teams out there for cities and stuff like that, but I just think it's the rapidness of ransomware, and how easy it is to buy it off the shelf on the dark web and go out there and spread it is just gonna keep growing
Oh, it's gonna keep
exponentially.
getting
So
bigger and bigger. And the more these out of box ideas, like, hey, let's just attack the bigger and bigger guys, and it will spread downstream. I mean, these new ideas are gonna come out. There's gonna be more attackers, more hackers, easier access, and it's just gonna keep getting worse
yeah,
and worse.
and even it doesn't even
I
have to be
think.
a supply chain attack, right? Like, we've seen it through email. We saw that water company in Florida,
Oh
right? They
yeah,
got hit by the watering hole attack,
yeah.
right? So someone from that company went to a public water related website, right? Like, it was a website that was dedicated to people that do water as a utility, and in that website had something malicious that infected that machine, that person was visiting the website, and they got it, you know so
There's so
just
many ways in.
so
There's
many
so
ways
many
in,
ways in.
right? And so yeah,
Even
it's just a matter of when.
that water district too in Florida, we did an episode on, remember?
That's the one. Yeah,
But they got in through Team Viewer, did they not?
they used TeamViewer to manipulate the water plant, but the initial access vector was through a watering hole attack.
Oh man.
Yeah, that came out later on after we did our podcast.
Water equals to water. Didum-tsh. I don't know.
Yep.
That makes sense? Probably
I don't know what you said.
not.
Are you
So
speaking English over there? What
it
happened
made
just now?
sense to me. It's okay. Fine. I'll stop talking.
Just messing with you. But yeah, so lots of big news for Kaseya and Kaseya, and if you got that running in your environment, take a good look at your logs just to see if anything's happened. If you have any other tools that you're relying upon from different providers, I think vendor risk assessments are a thing you should do. I think extra scrutiny on looking at that traffic, and yeah, getting a little bit harder or locked down firewall rules, I think, would help too, especially for these tools. So
Yeah, and if you don't have any tools at all, start thinking about something you want to implement, because now is the best time
yeah,
before
I
you
mean
get.
that's actually a good right. We'll take one from our owner here, who I don't know where he stole it from, but the what is it the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, but the second best time is now. Right.
I like that.
Yeah. So there's a Rayism for you if you're out there listening. Yeah, if you don't have software, if you don't have any security tools, and you happen to be listening to this security podcast, I think the first thing you probably want to invest in is a next gen
Hey,
antivirus solution or
yeah,
endpoint protection solution that
for
can
sure.
help identify these types of attacks. Even if the signature is not there, it'll identify it through behavior, and I hate to use this term, but through artificial intelligence, through all the other endpoints that company sells their product to. They share
Why do you
data
hate
everywhere.
AI?
I don't hate AI. I just hate the term because everyone uses it in our industry,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I don't know that it is actually artificial intelligence, or if it's just a really convoluted if then statement. If then, do this.
It's it's kind of like if then with a little bit of recursion
All right.
and a base case
Yeah, exactly. Select
and a
case.
bunch of trees. Yeah,
So, but I guess that's what AI is, anyways. But anyway,
giant
um,
download tree.
I just think it's overused. So, but they all the product vendors out there use that term. So, but yeah, I'm talking like Silence, Sentinel One, CrowdStrike, Carbon Black, in game. Who am I missing?
Cisco amp.
Cisco, yep, AMP. I think Palo Alto has one now. Traps, right? I think so.
Yeah,
But there's a lot of them out there. But the first three that I named, those are the top, I think, in my opinion. So go for one of those. That's it.
Yeah, pick your favorite, implement it, try it, test it, protect yourself before it's too late. And if you have absolutely no idea what to do, fortunately, there's the incident response team at Tevora. You can hit us up. And if you're still listening for some odd reason,
I did have an announcement or a request, I guess.
Okay.
The one guy who asked for a Dollar Tree steak, I haven't forgot about you. I tried to find your contact information. I don't know where it is. So if you want to email us, I'll take care of you. So reach out again. If you're still listening. He might have given up on us because I never sent him a Dollar Tree steak, but hopefully he's still out there.
And if you are still listening, like, subscribe, let us know if you have any comments, suggestions for show topics, or anybody we should bring on and talk to. And with that said, patch your stuff. It's Patch Tuesday. So make it happen. Anything else?
America.
Yeah, America. Till next time.